What's up guys, in this video we're going to show you how to seduce a woman like James Bond. We're going to break down how he flirts, builds sexual tension, and ultimately always gets the girl. So in this video we're going to focus on the latest version of James Bond played by Daniel Craig, who according to Ian Fleming, who is the creator of the whole series, is the best James Bond out of them all, and I actually agree with his opinion. So we're going to take a look at him in various scenes in different movies and how exactly he seduces women so fucking well. So let's start off with the first one. This is from Spectrum.
You killed him, didn't you? My husband.
He was an assassin. Trust me, he won't take it personally.
You signed my death warrant. I was respected.
Loyal to a man you hated.
He trusted my silence.
Now notice how he doesn't get reactive. Like obviously you don't want to be in a situation where a woman is slapping you, but notice how he just doesn't give a shit, right? And that's a very alpha quality where you just don't give a shit. Like the little things that girls do, they don't bother you one bit.
With him gone, I'm a dead woman. I can trust nobody.
I know the feeling well.
Well, I can tell you that I don't trust you.
Well, then you have impeccable instincts.
If you don't leave now, we'll die together.
I can think of worse ways to go.
Now notice how she's basically just telling him, fuck off, I don't like you, blah, 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 blah. But the whole time he holds very intense eye contact, right? Building a lot of sexual tension, and it doesn't deter him one bit. And women get really turned on by a guy who just knows what he wants and goes for it. Now, of course, this shouldn't be in like a super creepy, forceful way, but you can see the way James Bond does it. He combines like extreme determination with also smoothness. He's not choppy. He's moving very slow and deliberately. He's not like this, he's very smooth.
Ben, you're obviously crazy, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Now this is also very powerful. He doesn't just go right in for the kiss. He gets close and then he holds the sexual tension. So James Bond, especially in this scene, is really good at building sexual tension. And sexual tension is key for seducing a woman. And this is something I do all the time. I get close to kissing the girl, but I don't kiss her. And you hold that sexual tension and the girl just gets really antsy and she's like, fuck, I want it, I want it, I want it. And that makes a humongous difference.
These people, if you just knew what they could do, the power they have.
Did your husband ever mention the Pale King?
No. The organization.
Now notice how he keeps teasing her. He keeps getting close, but then he doesn't tease her, right? So who has the control in the situation? He has 100% of the control in the situation. Again, that's a huge turn on for women. Women love it when a guy's in charge.
Never meet. But because of what happened to my husband, they meet tonight.
Why?
To choose a replacement.
Where?
The Palazzo Cartezza. Midnight.
Sounds like fun. I might drop by.
He keeps doing it. He keeps getting close and then he pulls back. He gave her a very quick kiss, but again, now she's begging for it. She really wants it. In the span of 2 minutes, now, of course, it's not really realistic. Like this would take longer in real life, but he goes from her just telling him fuck off and slapping him to her craving his kiss.
He was obsessed. He spent more time with them than with me.
And then the man was a fool.
And then the scene ends, but now says since he built up so much sexual tension, now when he ultimately goes in for the kiss, it's so much more powerful for the woman emotionally because now she's been craving it for the last minute and a half. Now imagine if instead of doing this for a minute, he did this for 10 or 15 minutes, he built up that much sexual tension. Again, by coming in close and not doing it, how horny would the girl be? How DTF would she be? How much she would jump on him and basically just like be like, take me now, because he built up so much sexual tension. And building that sexual tension makes all the difference. All right, let's move on to the next scene.
You like married women.
So this is the Casino Royale, and this is a different chick, although they sort of look alike when the lights off. But
James,
It keeps things simple.
Now, notice how he answers that. I don't want to say it's a shit test per se, but she's like, you like married women. Now, does he start logically explaining himself? Well, yeah, I've had good experience with married women. Complete tension killer. Does he get riled by it? Oh, is that so wrong? He just brushes it off. He's like, it keeps it simple. So every time a woman gives him a little bit of shit, he just keeps strong eye contact, builds sexual tension, and just shrugs it off. Like, you can tell, like, this is a man that no matter what you throw at him, it'll just roll off his shoulders, right? Compare that to Myron from Fresh and Fit, who, like, as soon as you make a little joke, he gets super excited, super antsy, and like, man, get the fuck out of my house, right? No, like, women don't like that. Women want a guy who's just not fazed by anything. And that's basically what Daniel Craig does so well in this movie.
What is it about that man? You, my husband. I had so many chances to be happy. So many nice guys. Why can't nice guys be more like you?
Because then they'd be bad.
Yeah.
So this is as a side note, this is very true. Like, this shows you that women, in terms of, they may like logically or whatever consciously say they want a nice guy, but what they really want, like deep down inside, is a bad boy, right? That's what really turns women on. I think this scene basically just drives that point home really well in under 5 seconds.
That's so much more interesting.
So yeah, so basically, I just wanted to show you in this scene. It's a very quick scene, and it keeps going from there. But the real highlight of this was when a girl throws something at James Bond, like, oh, do you always go for married women? How he handles that. He just lets it roll off right off his shoulders. And again, he's building more sexual tension. He's not just like making out with her nonstop. He's like kissing her and then pulling back, right? And that's what really gets girls horny. Well, let's move on to the next scene. So now you're going to see how James Bond does, outside of the bedroom, right? Like how he does in the very initial stages of the interaction. So this is also from the first movie, Casino Royale. This is a different chick. And basically the context here is, if you haven't seen it, is that she is the financing behind the poker game that he's going to play. So she's the accountant who holds the money.
I'm the money.
Every penny of it.
The Treasury has agreed to stake you in the game.
Vespa. I do hope you gave your parents hell for that.
Thank you.
Now notice how he's just flirting with her right from the start. Like, but he's not doing it in a creepy way. He's not like, oh wow, you're hot, right? He does it in a much more subtle way, which is how you want to do it in these situations. Because if he was super blunt, he's like, oh, you're really hot for an accountant. That's kind of like tacky, and the girl wouldn't get turned on by that. But he does it in a much more subtle way. She says, I'm the money. I've never seen so much money gathered so fast. And he's like, or quite so stylishly, right? And he says it with a smirk. So the way he does it is much more subtle, which is also much more effective.
Your boss must be well connected. I've never seen so much go out the door so quickly.
Not quite so stylishly. May I ask you where it is?
10 million was wired to your account in Montenegro, with a contingency for 5 more if I deem it a prudent investment. I suppose you've given some thought to the notion that if you lose, our government will have directly financed terrorism.
Now notice how he handles that. So she basically throws him, I would say, a little bit of a shit test, right? I guess you'd call it something else, but basically she's like, yeah, if you lose, our money, and notice how he reacts. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't start defending himself. He just smirks and keeps strong eye contact. And that's one thing you're gonna notice is whenever James Bond talks to women, his eye contact is laser focused, and that makes a humongous difference when it comes to building sexual tension. And notice how she changes the topic. So she throws that at him. He doesn't respond. He just holds strong eye contact, and then she changes the topic completely. She's like, oh, what looks good?
What looks good? So you're telling me it's a matter of probability and odds? I was worried there was some chance involved.
Well, any of you seem to play with the best hand wins.
So that will be what you call bluffing.
You've heard the term. Then you'll also know that in poker you never play your hand. You play the man across from you.
And you're good at reading people.
Yes, I am. Which is why I've been able to detect an undercurrent of sarcasm in your voice.
You'll know how short our money is in good hands.
You don't think this is a very good plan, do you?
So this is very interesting. So notice how from the start, and it's pretty subtle, but if you look for it, you can pick it up, is that she had a little bit of a chip on her shoulder. She has an attitude, right, with the way she's interacting with him. She's not happy about this, and he addresses it, he calls this out, which is also very powerful. When a girl has a little bit of a chip on her shoulder, you do want to address it in a non-butthurt way. If you're like, why do you have a chip on your shoulder? Like fucking game over, right? But the way he does it is in a much more playful and challenging way. He's like, you don't think this is a very good idea, do you? Right? She can't get butthurt at that, but he is addressing the actual situation because she does have a chip on her shoulder and she doesn't trust him.
So there is a plan. I got the impression we were risking millions of dollars and hundreds of lives on a game of luck. What else can you surmise, Mr. Bond?
About you, Miss Lind? Well, your beauty's a problem. You worry you won't be taken seriously.
Which one can say of any attractive woman with half a brain.
True, but this one overcompensates by wearing slightly masculine clothing, being more aggressive than her female colleagues, which gives her a somewhat prickly demeanor. And ironically enough, makes it less likely for her to be accepted and promoted by her male superiors, who mistake her insecurities for arrogance. Now, I'd have normally gone with only child, but, you see, by the way you ignored the quip about your parents, I'm going to have to go with orphan.
So this is very interesting. First of all, here he does a cold read. So basically, he guesses a whole bunch of things about her based on the very limited information that he has. And this is very powerful if you can do this. If you can read people, especially women, they're going to be very impressed. It's like, holy shit, how does she know me? Now, what's interesting about her is she maintains really good, strong eye contact, which is pretty rare for women. You know, in general, I would say just people in general usually have really shitty eye contact. Like, think back, out of all the dates you've been on, how many girls were able to just laser eye focus, stare into your eyes, especially in the beginning part of the date? It's very rare. Maybe 5 to 10% of the girls I go on a date with can do this, right? So you can tell that she's definitely a lot more confident, right, than most women.
All right. By the cut of your suit, you went to Oxford or wherever. Naturally think human beings dress like that. But you wear it with such disdain. My guess is you didn't come from money, and your school friends never let you forget it. Which means you were at that school by the grace of someone else's charity, hence the chip on your shoulder. And since your first thought about me ran to orphan, that's what I'd say you are. Well, you are. I like this poker thing. And that makes perfect sense. Since MI6 looks for maladjusted young men who give little thought to sacrificing others in order to protect queen and country. You know, former SAS types with easy smiles and expensive watches. Rolex?
Amiga.
Beautiful. Now, having just met you, I wouldn't go as far as calling you a cold-hearted bastard.
No, of course not.
But it
Now notice how harsh she is. Like, she's just fucking going at him, right? You know, and I think most guys would get very, very faced by this. They would get defensive, they would get riled up. At the very least, even if they don't say anything, their face would show it. But notice how Daniel Craig's face is. He's not affected at all. Again, nothing affects this man, which is a humongous turn on to women.
wouldn't be a stretch to imagine. You think of women as disposable pleasures rather than meaningful pursuits. So as charming as you are, Mr. Bond, I will be keeping my eye on our government's money and off your perfectly formed hearts.
You noticed.
Even accountants have imagination. How was your lamb?
Skewered.
Now notice again how he doesn't stop holding the sexual tension. The eye contact is laser focused during the whole time. Even while she's like basically, you know, like insulting him in a way, he's not getting faced at all. He's still maintaining that very strong sexual tension. And basically the vibe he's giving off is like, yeah, you're mine, little girl, which again is super attractive to chicks.
One sympathizes.
Good evening, Mr. Bond.
Good evening, Miss Lind.
Now let's take a look at one last clip. This is in the same movie later on, same chick. And so basically, yeah, there's a lot of things that happen. Obviously, there's probably 45 minutes to an hour worth of movie that goes between here. But basically, they went through a lot together. They still haven't had sex. They haven't even kissed yet. So this is going to be their first kiss.
I just want you to know that if all that was left of you was your smile and your little finger, you'd still be more of a man than anyone I've ever met.
That's because you know what I can do with my little finger.
Now look what he does here. This is genius, right? She gives him, and she's being sincere at this point, right? She's being emotional, right? And she's like, now most guys again would be like, oh, thank you so much, that means a lot, right? He just holds the sexual tension for a few seconds, like kind of reflects, and then very smoothly. Again, this is the big thing about Daniel Craig as James Bond. He's very smooth. There's no choppiness to him in the way he talks and moves. He smoothly moves in and says, that's because you know what I can do with my little finger. So he makes something that was completely non-sexual, very sexual, with just one sentence. Now notice how she smiles.
I have no idea.
But you're aching to find out.
You're not going to let me in there, are you? You've got your armor back on. How's that?
I have no armor left. You stripped it from me. Whatever is left of me. Whatever is left of me. Whatever I am, I'm yours.
So here again, so here he's a little different. He doesn't like, you know, do the whole thing where he gets close, and he does, because they're having much more, this is more of like a relationship type of thing. They have much more of a serious, intimate moment versus the other ones where chicks he just had, I guess, a quote unquote one night stand with, right? But again, you can see the same pattern, right? He just lets everything roll off his shoulders. He's not fast, he's very smooth. He's not choppy at all. Keeps laser focused eye contact, right? And then he just, like, everything just rolls off his shoulders. Like, even the girl being very serious and deep with him, he's just like, well, that's because you know what I can do with my little finger. But then later on, when he is serious and he says, I don't have any armor left, you strip it for me, it's so much more meaningful for the girl because she had to earn that. She had to earn that sincerity from him, because his usual style is to just be sarcastic and witty and charming, right? And for him to be sincere like that, the girl has to really earn that. And so when it happens, right, it's so much more special for the girl. And now she feels like, holy shit, I've got this guy who has this tough exterior to finally open up to me, and thus she's going to be even more into him. All right, hopefully you guys found this video valuable. And I think the biggest thing that James Bond does, even though you didn't see this in the clip, but trust me, it happens, is smashing the like button, hitting subscribe, clicking the bell for notification. Obviously, he's a big fan of playing with fire, and that's how he got all his moves, and that's how you guys are going to get them as well. Let us know in the comments what you thought about Daniel Craig as James Bond, and who you think is the best James Bond out of all of them. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.